The entry point that I think most of us start at is what I would call the unconscious mind, where the things that we think about, our mental patterns, our perceptions, the way that we see things, our worldview, our core beliefs about ourselves, our emotional patterns, and of course, our behavioral patterns, almost all of these are unconscious, meaning we are not making choices. These are just automatic default patterns. And most of the times, we're not even aware of how we keep getting back into these same patterns or how these patterns keep coming back around. We don't even see them. I think this is the case for the vast majority of us out there right now, unless you grow up in an incredibly nurturing environment, which is very rare to find these days, or you grow up in a temple that teaches the principles of self awareness at a very early age while also meeting all of your fundamental human needs. Most of us start at this unconscious mind. When we are working through this unconscious mind, the goal is to make it conscious, to become aware of our thinking patterns, to become aware of how we're perceiving things that are happening, to become aware of what do we do with our emotions, to notice and recognize, why did we have that emotional reaction in the first place? In other words, what was my core belief about myself? Is it that I'm unworthy? Is it that I'm not good enough? Is it that this person doesn't respect me and I'm not worthy of respect? Again, we come back to the perceptions, the worldviews, the core beliefs about ourselves. The goal is to become very aware of this. Awareness is the prerequisite for choice. So once we become aware of this unconscious mind, we can start to recognize, identify these patterns. Then we can introduce choice. Now, these are no longer just default patterns that just keep coming around and we're just at the whim of the things that happen. Now we can start to make decisions. We can say, this is familiar. I recognize this pattern. I recognize the way I'm thinking about something. I recognize the way I see myself. I recognize what I'm doing with my emotions. I recognize how I create behavioral patterns based off of these emotions that I'm feeling, ways to distract myself, ways to soothe the pain, so on and so forth. Once I become aware of them, I can say, well, here I am. Now I can continue doing the same thing, or I can do something different. This is where we're working to get to, is a place of choice. This is much different in terms of a therapeutic progression than the unconscious mind. I'm no longer a victim. I no longer am just suffering at the whim of everybody else's decisions. There is a cause to my suffering. I play a role in my suffering, and I can choose to do something different. Of course, this is not the end goal of where we want to get to, but it is a very important step. See, when the mind is making choices, we're saying either this or that. That is what a fundamental choice is. And if I choose this, then this outcome. Or if I choose that, then that outcome. Right? This is the basis of a choice. In other words, there's ambivalence here. We're not quite sure. There's uncertainty. There's discernment here. We're weighing options. In other words, that unconscious mind that has now progressed to a conscious mind and is making choices, this mind is still not free. This mind is still not calm. There's no clarity. There's a pressure that has to find the right choice to lead to the outcome that we're looking for. When the mind is at peace, when we are calm, when we are present, the mind knows. Where there's no discernment, we don't have to weigh out the options of, well, is it this or that, or how is it going to work? The mind knows. The way we want to get to that, the goal of this practice, is to continue to increase our ability to be present and to continue to find peace and safety in what we experience. When we do this, we can reconnect with that intuition, the internal wisdom that we have. the instincts, the emotions, the feelings that we have suppressed early in life because they were dangerous. When we reconnect with these, the mind now can rest because my gut intuition will tell me that's dangerous. And I know there's no choice. I don't need to make a choice here. There's no discernment. There's no ambivalence. I know that's dangerous and I stay away from it. Or I know this will lead me to joy and happiness, to peace, tranquility, connection, the things that I'm really looking for. And there's no choice involved. I automatically know which way I want to go. My body knows it. The wisdom is inside of me. So this is the linear progression that we're looking for, is to go from the unconscious mind. The patterns are just default. We're unaware of them. There's no choice involved. Our thinking patterns, our emotional patterns, our perception, our beliefs about ourselves and others, our worldview, all of this, behavioral patterns, every bit of it, default, automatic. We're just a victim at the whim of everybody else and everything else, and we just continue to suffer. We want to transcend this unconscious mind and move into choice, agency, awareness, responsibility, accountability. We say, I suffer. There is a reason for why I suffer. I play a role in this reason for why I suffer, and I'm going to make choices to do something different. Of course, making choices, the mind is still not safe. The mind is still not free. There's discernment, there's ambivalence, there's this or that, there's a pressure, there's an anxiety of making the choices. So we want to transcend this making the choices into a greater peace, a greater connection, a greater presence with the internal wisdom that we all hold. When we can reconnect with that, and when it is safe to feel it and to trust in ourselves in this wisdom, there's a knowing that happens. And we follow, as Joseph Campbell said, our bliss. We know what direction we need to go in order to become the best version of ourselves. And in order to have the best version, so to speak, for lack of better language, for the experience that we're seeking. This is the linear transformation or progression that we're looking for. And through various resources, through various tools, through various approaches, is we can continue to train ourselves and develop a practice to continuously progress further and further into this presence, into this safety, into this knowing and reconnecting with the intuition, the feeling, and all that beautiful, wise information that exists inside of every one of us.